I have been having a bad week. Just things not going well, and I get down every once in a while. There's come from a long, if you listen to the show, come from a long line of people with bipolar disorder, or as they used to refer to it, manic depression. And sometimes when you get down, it's kind of hard to dig yourself out of it. And I have issues from time to time. It hasn't been all bad, but of course it has not been good. If you follow the news like I do, things are taking a turn, But the good news is, and there is good news, the resistance to what's going down is starting to find a bit of a spine. Also, freedom? Question mark? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Trent Takes On 2.0. I'm the Trent from the title of the show. This is my show. I do this show. I also do another show called No Plan, No Problem with my good neighbor George. In fact, yesterday we sat down to cut our third episode. And due to a bad mic cable, we got a crackly mic in the end and crap-a-doodle. So, recording lost. So we'll put that on the list of disappointing things that have happened this week. Please check out episode 2. We will recut episode 3, which will be totally different because it's an improv show this weekend, and we'll be dropping episode 3 of that. It's available all the same places this is available. So, no plan, no problem. Please check it out. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about the freedom of speech, which we briefly chatted about last week. Jimmy Kimmel getting suspended. They brought him back this week. ABC at Disney was under a ton of pressure because of us, the people, reaching out, saying we don't agree with this. People canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions. Disney moms. These are these influencers. There's a whole bunch of influencers online that go to the parks and they share their park experience every day. And it's like they get their annual passes and then they go and they're like, look at all these great things you can do at Disneyland. And it's free advertising for Disney. So they're pretty happy. In fact, these people are paying to do it. Of course, they're making money on the back end because that's how it works. But even the Disney moms, the Disney parent, Disney people, the people who go to Disney just to show off that they're Disney were like, no, you can't do this. And it turns out that we may have found the red line. Like all the other crazy shit this regime has done for the last 9 months, from unilaterally imposing taxes, import taxes on everybody here, like with no actual authority to do so, to, suspending people's very obvious rights to due process, suspending the actual Bill of Rights to the United States in some situations. Like these immigrants don't deserve due process. Not true. The way it's worded, the Fifth Amendment, all persons, doesn't say citizens, it says persons. If you stand on American soil, you're entitled to due process. And the reason that you're entitled to due process is because we kind of have to determine whether or not you are who they claim you are. It's to keep people from being disappeared off the street. Oh, that's been going on nonstop too. That's not a red line. All of the videos that we've seen of people being brutalized by ICE agents wearing masks and hiding their identities from people, that's no big deal. All of these, and they're doing it in immigration courts. Like they're staking out these immigration courts and then busting people who are trying to do their best to follow the rules. Anyway, I digress. That wasn't the red line. Blowing up boats in international waters off the coast of Venezuela. We're up to, I think, 4 now. 3 that I'm positive of. I've seen the videos that we could I don't know, interdict, grab those guys, find out what they know, find out if they actually have drugs. No. This regime has decided we're just going to blow those people up. Well, what authorization do you have to do that? None. We don't have one, but we're doing it anyway. Stop us if you can. See, that wasn't a red line. They went ahead and bombed Iran without any authorization. That wasn't a red line. Everything they do, no problem there. They've no problem there. They ignore court orders, no problem there. But silence a comedian, and that's the red line. So I'm not going to judge any of us, because if you listen to this, you've been screaming about the red line the whole time. I know. I've been screaming about the red line the whole time. This is fascism. I've been saying it. They're really mad about us using the word fascism, by the way. They're claiming that that's what got Charlie Kirk killed. Well, no. That was a lone gunman. That was an individual who had a real beef with the things that Charlie Kirk said, and he took it upon himself to silence him. There was no backing. There was no financing behind it from some secondary organization. No, that guy did what he did. People kill people. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. We should really be upset about that. I'm upset about that. Nobody deserves to be shot with a gun. So let's start working on that problem. Okay? Let's start working on the ease of get people getting their hands on guns. Let's start working on that. Anyway, there's been more shootings since, and everybody's just jumping to blaming Antifa. So much so that the regime has decided that Antifa is a terrorist organization, and anyone who supports them, by going to the meetings, which don't exist. I covered this last week. To now, if you're funding Antifa, which apparently they're trying to tie like George Soros and Act Blue, the Democratic fundraising operation, to funding Antifa so that they can designate them. Does this sound fascist to you? It does. I said it last week. If you want us to not call you fascist, you got to stop doing fascist shit, like taking comedians off the air. Anyway, the good news is Kimmel was put back on. And if you haven't seen his first monologue, it was about 18 minutes long, on the day that he was reinstated and back on the air. It was really, really remarkable. It was an amazing piece of television. It pulled no punches about being pulled off the air. It was honest and heartfelt. What he said did not go over any line. Not that there was a line to go over, but he did not revel in the murder of Charlie Kirk, just like I didn't. We need to tone down the rhetoric around here, and I knew that when Kirk was assassinated by this lone gunman, well, that was going to give the right all the excuse they need to turn the temperature up exponentially. That's the word I'm looking for. Whew, boy, I found it. Whew, it looked like I wasn't going to get there. This shit is crazy. And on top of that, yesterday, they've indicted James Comey for it's a trumped up charge. Oh my God. It's a fake. It's not real. They don't have the evidence to prove it. It's a garbage indictment that now the dude has to. I don't like Jim Comey. I blame him for a lot of this shit. If he hadn't come out at the last second and said, we are investigating Hillary Clinton's emails, we probably wouldn't be where we are, because that was what took we were 9 days away from the actual election day. People were already casting ballots and had been for a while. Donald Trump had the hot mic Hollywood, Access Hollywood bullshit with him and Billy Bush, where he talked about grabbing women by the privates, had just come out, and Comey gave that fodder to the people against the regulations of the FBI. So I'm no fan of Comey, but did he deserve to be indicted for political reasons because he refused to go along with what the president wanted him to do back at the beginning of his first term? No. No, you can't just indict people because the president tells you to indict them. We're way too far now. Way too far. The red line was crossed with Kimmel, and then he starts in on his list of political opponents. Boy, whatever they're hiding, whatever the cover-up is in the Epstein files, must be fucking terrible. Because they are going to every length possible to distract you from that. By the way, this week, just a few days ago, in Arizona, I forget which district it is. There was this Arizona special election to replace a congressman who had passed away while in office earlier this year. His own daughter ran for that seat and she won it. So Democrats will continue to control that seat. The House majority is now 219 to 214 with two absent. What do they call them? Two still vacant. And she is the 218th signature to the discharge petition to force them to have a vote on releasing the Epstein files. So that's good news. The downside is her election won't be officially certified for about 6 weeks, probably. I think that they'll get it done a bit quicker than that. But basically, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, can use that as a stalling tactic to say, oh, well, we don't have to, that signature doesn't count yet. She's not an official member of Congress. Anyway, it is what it is. We've also got a government shutdown looming. The Democrats have decided that what they want is for the Affordable Care Act subsidies, the help that we give people of lower incomes to purchase insurance plans on the Affordable Care Act website. They want to put those back in. I think it's a pretty decent number, but it's gonna save healthcare costs from exploding for a whole bunch of people. Probably about 20 million people are gonna see their premiums stay the same if they get their way. If not, their premiums will go up anywhere from 25 to 75%. Which is basically just cost prohibitive for people who are purchasing their insurance plans on the exchange. It's a big deal. That subsidy is a big deal. I think it's a mistake. I get it. Healthcare is super important to all of us. But to me, I'm like thinking about this politically, thinking about this realistically. This is not the biggest problem we have, the affordability of healthcare. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. It really is. But the bigger problems that we have are things like the Department of Justice being completely out of fucking control and doing whatever they're told to do by the White House. The Department of Justice is supposed to be independent. They're supposed to see a crime, follow the facts, find the person responsible instead of, hey, investigate this person until you find a crime, which is what they're doing. And it's bad. It's really, really, really bad. Many of the Department of Justice's best assets are being reallocated to rounding up and deporting people, which is, I don't even know how to get into this. It's just unlawful and gross and wrong. The affordability of healthcare is a big, big deal. But I think that the things that the Department of Justice and Immigration and Customs Enforcement are doing are even bigger. I think that Trump having a masked secret police force is a bigger problem. I think that their lack of accountability to anyone other than, I guess, Kristi Noem is a problem. There are a lot of problems. A lot. And you could tackle any of those. We could tackle the fact that the Department of Justice is suing states for not turning over their voter rolls to the Department of Justice, which has no business whatsoever interfering in the way elections are run in the states. States run elections. Jeez. What do they need that stuff for? So they can prosecute some enemies. So there are a lot of things that the Democrats could have pushed for in this budget fight about funding the government, but they've chosen healthcare. My problem is it's not big enough. It's not the existential problem that we should probably be fighting on. It is probably our best political policy, I guess. Like, people don't trust Republicans to run healthcare, and they shouldn't, because they don't give a flying fuck about anybody. So how do you run healthcare when you don't give a flying fuck about anybody? When you tell pregnant women they can't take Tylenol anymore without any scientific actual proof behind it. So, yeah, fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. It is painful to go through this, isn't it? Like I said, it's been a bad week. I'm toughing it out, but man, the fuck. Also, if the Dems happen to win and the Republicans cave and they give them the money, you've actually helped out those 20 million Americans. Yep, you did. And that's all you got for it. And now the Republicans are going to continue to do whatever they want with the government. They're threatening to do mass firings if the government shuts down. This is like the Trump administration is threatening to do mass firings if the government shuts down. As compared to what you've been doing for the last 9 fucking months anyway. Haven't you mass fired your way through essentially all the unessential employees in the government? What the fuck was Doge anyway? Also, you did all that without anybody saying it was okay. Why are we thinking that what we do now will change the way the Trump regime, I almost said it, behaves? They're not going to start following the law just because, we ask them to, or because we do something nice for them. They're not interested in that. They sent the FCC commissioner onto a podcast, a Turning Point USA podcast, to say we could do this the easy way or the hard way. Kimmel's off the air. Disney, don't make us do more work. Mob bossy bullshit. Anyway, I have to get all this stuff off my chest before they make this podcast illegal. Because that's what they're doing. Last night, Donald Trump, the Mad King Donald, signed another executive order, this time essentially criminalizing those of us who criticize him. Anti-Christian, anti-capitalist, I think he said democratic rhetoric will be treated as an act of terrorism. No, you don't get to do any of that. That's not in the rules. What are you going to prosecute us for? Not being fascist enough? I don't think there's a statute for that yet. You got both houses of Congress. Why don't you have them pass it? Fascism is the new law of the land. We can't be scared. We can't bow down. We can't change our tact. They are desperate. These are the acts of desperate people. So incredibly desperate. Whiskey Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of the Department of Defense, I refuse to refer to it as a Department of War, the Department of Defense, has ordered all of our generals and admirals from around the world who are on active duty to return to the Pentagon for a mass meeting. What will be the contents of that meeting? What are they going to have to discuss? When has this ever happened before? I'll give you a hint. It happened in 1935 in Germany, when the Nazi Party brought all of the admirals and generals to Berlin to explain to them that their oath to the Constitution that they had sworn when they became soldiers was no longer valid, and that they had to swear a new oath, this time to the Fuhrer. That happened. Look it up. That's real. When told this, Whiskey Pete's response was, "Cool story, Grandpa." Whiskey Pete was a National Guard member who, in his 40s, got a bunch of Iron Man, pro-combatant, pro super masculine tattoos to prove how super masculine he was. Pete Hegseth never served in theater of duty. He was a civil response reservist. Thinks he's playing with G.I. Joes. Pete Hegseth was not qualified to become the Secretary of the Department of Defense. All he is a mouthpiece for the president and will execute whatever orders the president hands down, regardless of how illegal they may be. That's a problem. That's a problem because they're finding people that'll carry out illegal orders, like bombing random boats in international waters that are filled with people. Don't know who those people are. And killing them is unnecessary. It's actually counterproductive. If you take them captive, you can interrogate them. You know, they'll probably give you the info pretty easily. And then you can get to, I don't know, the real people in charge of whatever nefarious things that they're doing. Or they're actually innocent people like fishermen and things like that. And you let them go about their business. Things are bad. And if the upside is that the red line is freedom of speech, well, there's a No Kings protest coming up on October 18th. You can check them out at indivisible.com. You can 50 for 50, I think is the other one. 50 for 50. Anyway, there are lots of ways to find out. Google it. Where the next No Kings protest is, the closest one to you. And according to the organizers, if you don't have a No Kings protest within an hour of where you live, you are now the No Kings protest. You become the organizer of your own. There is one about 2 blocks from me that I will be at. I look forward to that very much. And I will be taking my family with me because we will not be silenced. We know what's right and what's wrong, just like you do. These are the times when just shit posting online isn't enough. And God knows I do enough shit posting on Blue Sky. At Old Man Trent, by the way, if anyone was curious. I don't like what's going on in this country. There's a lot of corruption. There is an unbelievable amount of abuse of power going on. Donald Trump, I've said this repeatedly, has committed hundreds or thousands of impeachable offenses. He's committing the equivalent of Watergate. No, much worse than the equivalent of Watergate. On Truth Social, Pam, indict these people. What are we doing? They're all guilty as hell. That's not how the Department of Justice is supposed to work. Corruption and the abuse of power. And the Democratic response is to fight for health care. Okay, I get you. But we got to come up with a better plan than this. And that better plan should be, I give this to you for free every time anybody asks. It's the richest of us against the rest of us. It's time to run on a platform where we get money out of politics, where we get money out of elections, where we get money out of DC, where we get rid of lobbyists, where we get rid of the swamp. Drain the swamp. Just take it from them. We intend to drain the swamp. The Trumpy Finunky swamp, whatever you want to call it. Come on, have one of your writers come up with something really good. I'm telling you that the way to win this population over is to prove to them without a shadow of a doubt that everything they've been told was a con. These people are just stealing money from all of us. Look at the report that the Wall Street Journal just published. Donald Trump has increased his family's wealth by $1 billion in the last 10 months. That is a wild abuse of power. That is wild corruption. That is self-dealing, the likes of which this country has never seen. And they're just getting started. So, for me, the platform is we're doing away with money in politics. We're doing away with it. And that's going to allow us to install a system that is more fair for everybody. A system where the richest among us have to pay their fair share of taxes. And the people who can't afford to pay shouldn't have to pay. And they should be given a leg up. They should be given better opportunities, better training, better educational opportunities, some sort of help to better your situation. It's actually the way we used to do things. Why not get back to that? And for those, the counter argument is already, the Democrats are shutting down the government so that they can give $1 trillion in health care to illegal aliens. That's their argument. Okay, number one, it's not $1 trillion. It's more like 40 billion. I mean, it's nowhere near $1 trillion. Number two, if you think that it is easy for an undocumented person to get government assistance in this country, you've never attempted it. I am a United States citizen, and I have lost my job due to ethics. Thank you. I had ethics. The people around me, the people above me did not. They asked me to do something unethical, and I refused, and I was fired for it. I lost my job. I was blackballed out of the industry that I was working in, and I had to resort to government assistance for healthcare. And it was less than easy. And it also isn't like they give you a fucking check. One of the greatest, most ridiculous lies they tell is all of these able-bodied people are on Medicaid, sucking up all your money. How much health care do able-bodied people need? Think about it for a second. Is it tens of billions of dollars? No. They're able-bodied, young people. They keep telling you they could work. They just choose not to. Okay. But how much do you think they're getting? Do you think we send people checks? That's not how it works. Medicaid covers these procedures by paying the providers themselves, not the people getting the service. What the shit? How dumb do you think we are? The answer to that is extremely. They think we are stupid. The Republican Party, the rich in America, think we are stupid. They think we're dumb. They think we have no common sense. They think we can't put two and two together. They think we can't connect the dots. We can. You know why they haven't released the Epstein files yet? Because Donald Trump and his cronies and a whole bunch of people that they don't want to be outed are all over them. They were partying with Epstein. They were doing bad shit. We don't know what, but they were definitely doing bad shit because Epstein was doing bad shit. And they really want to keep it secret. And that's a sign. Ay. We need to exercise our freedoms while we have them. And we need to remember that it's not just the Trump regime that's been doing all this damage. There's been a lot of damage done over the course of the last several decades. It really all started with Reagan basically saying, we're not going to regulate companies anymore. We're not going to regulate the financial industry anymore. We're not going to regulate a whole bunch of things that the government used to act as watchdogs for, to keep the people safe from the excesses of the extremely wealthy, the extremely powerful. When that became the Republican platform, which it still is for the record, if you're rich, you get to do whatever you want. Ask Donald Trump on the Access Hollywood tape. In this country, when you're rich, there is a different justice system for you. Okay, especially now. If you're Tom Homan and you accept a $50,000 bribe to steer government contracts somebody's way, $50,000 in a kava bag after a lunch out talking corruption, you get that case dropped Tom Homan is the border czar and the man in charge of really a lot of the ICE ridiculousness that's happening in our country. Tom Homan is the mouthpiece for the regime when it comes to trashing immigrants. Tom Homan took a bribe. And the Trump Department of Justice said, no. They have it on tape. They're denying it. They're saying it was politically motivated, but they've got it on tape. It was an FBI sting. He was caught up with some other people that they were watching, and that's how they got on to Tom. And they got Tom to accept a $50,000 bribe. Even if he did not come through with what they wanted, he still took the money. Did he report the money on his taxes? I doubt it. Tom Homan is an ally of the president, so he gets a different version of justice. He gets exonerated. How about the January 6th people? Because they were doing what they did in Donald Trump's name, they were all pardoned. Pardoned. But James Comey? We're going to make some shit up. We're going to make some shit up and take... people are reading the indictment today. It was officially released last night. They're claiming that he said a specific thing during a testimony in 2020. He did not say exactly what they said he said. So they're misquoting him in a false statements to Congress indictment. You don't even have the statement right. It's on tape. Also, it was actually a meeting about something else. So what he was talking about wasn't even germane to the thing that was going on. It was an aside caused by Ted Cruz. It's ridiculous. They don't have a leg to stand on. Also, it's pretty obviously a targeted political prosecution. And any judge worth his salt is going to look at this thing and go, I don't want to have anything to do with this because it's bullshit. Throw it out. Case dismissed. We have to do what we can. Lost in the shuffle this week. The National Archives released information on Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic candidate for governor of New Jersey, to the I think his name's Jack Ciarelli, the Republican guy who's running for the same. They released her information to him, which included her social security number, her address, her work history, her military history, the names and addresses of her relatives. They released all this stuff illegally to the Republican campaign, and they doxed her. Are we serious? Whew, wow, you fuckers. It's so gross. Totally lost in the shuffle this week. So much corruption, such wild abuse of power, and they know they're going to get fucking waxed at the polls. And that's why they're doing everything they can to stack the deck in their favor, to keep as many people from voting as they can, to make us uncomfortable with using our voice, to make us uncomfortable with using our rights, exercising our freedom of speech, exercising our freedom of assembly, exercising our freedom to vote. They're going to do everything they can to scare us into submission because that's the only way they win. If we quit. If the fear overwhelms us and keeps us from doing what we know in our hearts to be the right thing, that's when we truly lose. If you listen to this, I have faith in you. Because you've had enough faith in me to stay with me this far. I believe in you to do the right thing, to stand up, to be strong, to try to leave. Well, let's be honest, to try to save the country that we're supposed to be for future generations. I say all the time, this fight really isn't about me. Not anymore. I'm 50. My best days are in the rearview mirror. But I got little kids that I love. And it breaks my heart breaks my fucking heart that they have fewer rights than my generation did when they were their age 40 years ago. Because now it depends on where you are, whether or not you have autonomy over your own body if you happen to be a pregnant woman. God forbid you want to travel from state to state and you're pregnant. It's ridiculous. Utterly, completely ridiculous. And now they want to take away your freedom of speech, your freedom to assemble, your freedom to vote. It's not going to happen. We can't let them win. So join me on the 18th of October and let's protest some No Kings. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to make new signs. Probably. I bought a big thing, a big roll of paper so I might even do a banner. No, it's too flimsy for that. Ooh, maybe I could back it with something. We are the masters of our own destiny in this country. For the most part. I mean, there are systemic things that keep certain communities from accessing all of the opportunity that they should. Systemic problems. It's called critical race theory, but we're not allowed to talk about that anymore. People of color have been demonized, shortchanged, marginalized, continue to be. It's not fair. It's not right. We know it. So let's stop it. Put that in the platform. Put that in the platform. It's the richest among us versus the rest of us. The marginalized people of this country are definitely members of the rest of us. They need better schools. They need better, cleaner communities that aren't underneath power lines or next to chemical plants. We need to actually finish desegregating the South at some point. That'd be nice. Opportunity is supposed to go to us all persons. That is the distillation of what the founders were talking about when they started with the Declaration of Independence. Sure, they were imperfect messengers. Sure, they didn't actually believe in all of the shit that they wrote down. But it didn't mean that it wasn't a good idea. All people are created equal. We're just people. And when we stand together, we're really important. The richest among us would have us fight amongst each other while they run away with all of our money, run away with all our freedom, run away with our future. I haven't even got to. This is the first time I'm going to mention climate change in minute 38 of the pod. Ridiculous. Climate change. Donald Trump gave a UN speech where he said, you got to get away from this green energy hoax, on the same day that the largest super typhoon ever is making landfall in China. I mean, really? You know what you get when you switch from fossil fuel to green energy? Clean air, clean water, and cheaper power. Those are all good things, you jackass. Just because the petroleum manufacturers of this world have lined your pockets doesn't mean they're right. Just means you're corrupt. Whew. It's been, like I said, it's been a tough week. I will get together with Good Neighbor George and release another episode 3 of No Plan, No Problem this weekend. We will figure out a good time to do that and make that happen. So that'll be the next time you hear from me. I will be back with another Trent Takes On next week. I was shooting for Thursday this week, but George was like, hey, can we record on Thursday instead of Friday? I'm like, yes. And so I switched the days. So you get Trent Takes On Friday. You got nothing yesterday, but that's a microphone cables problem, which I'm going to go solve this afternoon. And I'll be back next week. In the meantime, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for making your voice heard. Thank you for making a difference in the world, no matter how tiny it may be. Because at the end of the day, you won't be measured by your bank account on the day you leave us. You'll be measured by the number of lives that you touch and the number of kindnesses that you have visited on others, because people don't forget them. And it doesn't matter how flawed we are, how broken we are, how many times we failed in the past. What matters is not what is in the rearview mirror, but rather what we can do as we walk forward. So be good humans. It's the very least we can do. Share my podcast with a friend. Maybe they need it. You never know. And I'll be back with you very soon. Thank you again. Thank you. And until next time.